Racism still alive and well in Florida. I personally knew a Charlotte County sheriff that called them Nigers. We got a tip in that Punta Gorda police call that let his dog maul a guy for no light on his bike, was hired as a thug for the black area of Punta Gorda. We have rich customers in Punta Gorda, aisles that said their rich black friends are pulled over there for driving while black. Disproportionate discipline. Black students face higher suspension rates by summer Brokaw staff writer. Charlotte County. Denise Hadley said her black children were unfairly punished in Charlotte County public schools based on racial bias. "My son, they tried suspending for 10 days for telling a teacher to get off of his arm," Hadley said. "Two white kids get into a fight and hit a teacher and was only suspended for 5 days." CCPS Superintendent Steve Dionisio denied any bias occurs in an email responding to a SUN request for comment. "Our support staff, teachers and leaders do an outstanding job trying to find alternatives for all students every day involving discipline," Dionisio wrote. "The support staff, teachers and leaders handle situations based on that situation, not on a conscious or unconscious bias." Still, black children entering elementary schools in Charlotte County face more out-of-school suspensions (OSS) relative to their enrollment than white and Hispanic peers. The latest 2015-16 discipline data from Charlotte County Public Schools shows only 8% of CCPS elementary students were black last school year, but they accounted for 23% of all OSS, a 2.9 times disproportionate impact relative to enrollment. White and Hispanic students were subjected to out-of-school suspension at percentages less than their enrollment. This trend continued through middle and high school. In middle and high school, black disproportionate impact is more than 1.5 times higher. Black children entering elementary schools in Charlotte County face more out-of-school suspensions relative to their enrollment than white and Hispanic peers. Disproportionate impact of K-12 school suspension on black students in southern states, by Edward J. Smith and Sean Harper of the University of Pennsylvania Graduate School of Education Center for the Study of Race and Equity in Education. The report is available at www.gse.upn.edu. CCPS Student Discipline Director Mike Deschardins provided this data based on number of disciplinary actions instead of number of students disciplined, which means higher rates for black students could be in part due to some of them having multiple suspensions. Each OSS usually lasts 3 days and no longer than 10 days, said Deschardins. The Student Code of Conduct shows students are allowed to request make-up work for first OSS if it's not a zero-tolerance offense such as one related to drug abuse or sale of illegal drugs or violence. But there are no make-up work privileges except for exams for students receiving a subsequent OSS and no multiple OSS limit. The latest U.S. Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights data from the 2011-12 school year comparing multiple OSS shows that CCPS had about 27% of black males suspended multiple times. This is a larger percentage than nearby Sarasota, 23%, and DeSoto, 15%, counties, the state, 21%, and nation, 10%. The data also show CCPS black males were suspended at 1.6 times the rate of white males' rate of 16.1%, and twice the rate of overall population with a multiple OSS rate of 12%. Could implicit bias be a factor? University of Pennsylvania researchers found in a 2015 study most black students suspended nationally were in southern states. Local counties such as Charlotte, DeSoto and Sarasota were not immune from disproportionate black suspension rates relative to enrollment. Researchers blamed implicit bias and racism as potential factors. The Kirwan Institute for the Study of Race and Ethnicity at Ohio State University defines implicit bias as unconscious stereotypes. This bias was seen through the prevalence of disciplinary actions attributed to disruptive/disobedient behavior, a subjective offense. Martha Beretta, a Punta Gorda resident and equity consultant, said negative racial stereotypes such as black males being lazy, Intelligent or overly aggressive could be a factor in the disproportionately higher rates of black students suspended in CCPS. Stereotypes are pervasive in the school environment, Beretta said. The lives of students are affected in a major way as a result of stereotypes. Stereotypes shape the beliefs of teachers and administrators, shape relationships as well as educational outcomes, especially as it relates to academic placement and discipline. Multiple studies show teachers have higher academic expectations of same-race students and assess their behavior more favorably. Students of same-race teachers are also less likely to be suspended. Black students make up 9% of CCPS single-quote population, but less than 3% of the teachers are black. Research suggests, based on this alone, black students have a higher likelihood of suspension. Desjardins declined to comment if racial bias could be a factor in disproportionately higher rates of CCPS single-quote black students OSS. Still, Charlotte County NAACP President, the Reverend Louis Anderson, said he doesn't think it's a factor at all. All I know is that Charlotte County is doing what they need to do to make sure that all kids, not just black kids, get the quality education that is needed, he said. Superintendent Dr. Karen Gary of DeSoto County Schools didn't rule bias out as a potential factor in disproportionate rates. "We don't believe it's really racial," she said. "It may be a little cultural. We are trying to work with our teachers to be more sensitive." Sarasota County Schools Superintendent Lori White released the following statement: "We understand the concern that students of color may be more likely to receive exclusionary discipline than white students. We are taking a hard look at the way discipline is meted out in our district to ensure that it is fair and equitable to all students." A New Image Beretta reached out to the Bernice A. Russell Community Development Corporation to help bring a New Image project to life a few years ago. This program focuses on reducing rates of disproportionate minority male suspensions at Punta Gorda Middle School by helping these youth gain more positive images of themselves instead of the negative stereotypical images portrayed in media. This program has been met with some anecdotal success, Desjardins said. He did not release specific numbers, but said he remembered students were suspended less after going through the program. School-to-prison pipeline. The implicit bias impacts a student's self-expectations. When a student believes they are no longer capable of achieving in a classroom, we've lost that student, Beretta said. The worst thing that can happen is they drop out of school and into school-to-prison pipeline. Beretta said the term school-to-prison pipeline has been coined because suspended students are more likely to fail and drop out of school, and because lack of skills are more likely to engage in activity that will get them into difficulty with law enforcement. Let's talk about race. I think you have to consider implicit bias, that whole thing, that has to play a role, said President Merritt Brown of the Bernice Russell CTC. I think for some students an action that may be considered precocious in a white student, maybe that same activity in a black student may be taken as being disruptive, so there may be a double standard in that regard. President Brian Boughton of Charlotte, Florida Education Association, Charlotte County's Teachers Union, said he wants to start a conversation about institutional racism, but he said people are uncomfortable even talking about it. "I'm a 56-year-old white dude," Boughton said. "It's very difficult for that conversation to happen. You have to do a lot of introspection. You have to drop that 'I'm not prejudiced' thing. You have to look deep inside." He continued, "You have to put aside your discomfort and have that conversation, because the way our children are dealt with, the way our children are disciplined, the way our children are seen is the important part, because it is in the end all about the student." Beretta has done cultural sensitivity training in various schools districts, including a series of 4 workshops for assistant principals in CCPS related to her book, Cultures in Conflict: Eliminating Racial Profiling in School Discipline, back in 2013-14. She said there's always some discomfort talking about race. "I try to create an environment of no blame and no shame, And I want an environment where teachers and administrators can actually express their feelings, she said. Unless we go through that process, the implicit bias does not go away on its own. Email, sproko@sun-herald.com. Charlotte High School student Matthew Romero, a mentor for the New Image Project, spoke to the crowd at a closing ceremony last year at Punta Gorda Middle School. From left, Jeremiah Martinez, Romero, John Reed and Jaham Tur. Romero said he dealt with his own challenges, so this was his chance to give back. "I'm here because I can understand them," he said. "My mom had patience with me. I have patience with them, so they can get through their struggles." Sun photo by Summer Brokaw. The American Civil Liberties Union cited a statewide Texas study, Breaking School Rules, finding that students suspended or expelled for a discretionary violation are nearly 3 times more likely to be in contact with the juvenile justice system. https://wp-content/upload/wp-content/uploads/2012/08/breaking_schools_rules_report_final.pdf. Photo provided by ACLU.